See, we saw the diagram about the elements of communication. Now let's understand one by one each of the element in detail. See, the first one is the sender. Who is the sender? This is a person who wants to convey his thoughts, his feelings, his ideas to the receiver. Okay, the sender would represent the source of communication. So that's the person through which the communication process starts. What is the message? Now, it is the content of ideas, feelings, suggestions, order, etc. which is intended to be communicated. Suppose I want to tell my employee who is a subordinate to me that you have to come for this meeting which is being held on 16th of, let's say, Jan, okay, and you have to be present in this particular town because we are meeting the client in his town itself, okay. And then I ask him that you have to prepare this kind of presentation which needs to be presented to the client. So what is happening here? I gave him a message, okay. Now this was nothing but a kind of order wherein I am ordering him to be present in Jan on a certain day, let's say on 16th of Jan in Baroda, okay. So Baroda would be the place. So I am giving him an order of what to do on 16th Jan, okay. Encoding. Now what is encoding? Sometimes the message which is being passed from the sender, it would be coded, that is we would convert the message into communication symbols such as words, pictures, gestures, etc. Sometimes when I want to pass on the confidential information, I would use the encoding process wherein I would send the message but it would be encoded in form of picture, a gestures or certain use of words. To remember this, remember we have this Hindi movie which was Ghazi Attack, wherein it was the Indian Navy who had intercepted one of the message of the enemy which was being sent by the enemy from one place to another. So the enemy had offices in two places, that is they wanted to send from one place to another, but then the Navy had intercepted. That means they had decoded that message. So generally when the war is happening or when we have very confidential information which needs to be passed on, then we use this encoding process. Now remember one more thing, sometimes when we are doing projects which are of very confidential nature, this happens more in mergers and acquisition industry. So when I'm planning to acquire as a company some other company, so the name of the company is never revealed to all the employees. It is only a section of employees who would be knowing that, who are working on that project. So they never use the words commonly, the name of the company in a very common basis. They always use Project Black or Project Blue. So they always have these code words. So similarly, when I have to transfer the message, if the manager wants to say or ask what is the status of merger for this company, he will say what is the status of Project Blue, okay, if I am using that particular code. So here I am using the words to encode my message. Now media is the next element. What is that? It is the path through which encoded message is transmitted to receiver. It could be through telephone, it could be through email, it could be through fax, okay, it could be even in a form of a letter. So the channel may be in a written format, face to face, phone call, or through use of internet, okay. The next is decoding. Now once the media has been transmitted, it was in an encoded format, so it needs to be decoded. So that is nothing but whatever symbols, word are being sent or the gestures are being made, you need to decode that so that the receiver can now understand what is the information. So the next element comes in, that is receiver, the person who receives the communication from the sender. So once he receives that communication, it would be in a decoded format, okay. Now you remember we had this feedback which was there, which flowed from the receiver to the sender, okay. So this is nothing but it includes all those actions of the receiver indicating that he has received and understood the message of sender. So For example, the email I spoke to you that on Jan 16 I asked my subordinate to be present in Baroda with this kind of presentation. So when he replies back, yes, I will be there. Okay, so that is nothing but he is taking an action by replying that he has understood the message of sender. Now, we also saw that noise which was there when the message was being sent. What is all that about? See, noise means an obstruction or a hindrance which is there when the communication is being made. So, sometimes when we are communicating, there would be noise or hindrance to the communication. Now, this can be caused to sender, message or receiver. So, either the sender or the message or the receiver, any of these three would see this particular hindrance. So, hindrance would be to the sender, or it may be to the message, or it may be to the receiver. So, what are the examples of noise? See, wherein I am using an ambiguous symbol. There is a certain set of symbols to be used. Rather than that, I am using some kind of symbol which is not understandable. So, that would lead to faulty encoding. Okay, a poor telephone connection. This happens with us so many times. When someone calls up, we are not able to hear them. Okay, so sometimes we don't hear them properly, or we might understand something else instead of what they are conveying to us. Now, an inattentive receiver. Sometimes it happens that when there is a face-to-face communication happening, the receiver is not in a mood to listen, or the receiver is not paying attention because he's thinking of something else. So, in that scenario, there would be noise and the message would not be received properly. Okay, faulty decoding, that is attaching wrong meanings to the message, can lead to failed communication. Prejudices, obstructing the poor understanding of message. Okay, then we have gestures and posters that may distort the message. For example, if I just have to say, please bring me a glass of water. Okay, now let's say I tell you, please bring me a glass of water. So you understood, I am requesting you. But tomorrow if I tell you, please bring me a glass of water, what was that? I was using a authoritarian style, but then I really didn't mean that. But because my gesture and my posture was in that manner that you might have thought that she is ordering me. So that is what is considered as noise, and it can distort the message as such. Okay, now let's quickly do the importance of communication. See, why communication is important? Because it acts as a basis of coordination. How do we coordinate among departments? Because there is a flow of communication. This is as good as lubricants which are required for a car, okay, or a machinery. Similarly, we require communication in an organization, because only through communication coordination can happen and organizational goals can be achieved. Now, it helps in smooth working of an enterprise. See, this is very important. Remember, if proper communication does not flow between the employees, between the departments, then the work would get hampered. There could be misunderstandings, there could be miscommunications that could lead to the failure, and the objectives would not be reached. So, for the smooth and proper functioning of an enterprise, effective communication is necessary. Now, this acts as a basis of decision making. Okay, communication helps in making a decision, or it is the basis. Based on the communication you have received, you can make a decision in the organization. Okay, it increases managerial efficiency. If the leader, if the manager is able to communicate in an efficient manner, he can make the workers work in a manner so that the organizational goals can be achieved. So, the manager efficiency increases through effective communication. Remember, it promotes cooperation and industrial peace. So, the relation between the managers and the employees, or the relation between the top management and the workers, are cordial because of effective communication. So, cooperation and industrial peace is there. Because of that, the organization is able to grow and achieve the desired objectives. Remember, it establishes effective leadership. So, as I told you earlier, when we were doing the qualities of a good leader, we understood that if the communication is not proper, the workers or the followers will not be able to follow that leader because they will not be really charmed by him, or they will not be able to understand what he's trying to say. Remember, if the communication is done in a proper manner by a manager, it will boost the morale of the employees, and it will provide motivation to the employees. See, sometimes when you will work in the organization in future, you will realize there are certain managers, whenever they come in, seeing the face, they realize, okay, the employee is in tension, and instead of asking you what is the problem, they will speak to you, they will try to change your mood. Okay, so that's a sign of leadership. Okay, but then here, because they are able to communicate to you in such a manner that they know that yes, from the body language I can understand there is a tension going on, but because I have given him the responsibility and the authority, so I'll not disturb him, I'll wait for him to come to me. Right now what I can do for him is I can change his mood. How is that possible? Only when I can communicate to him in such a manner that he can feel relaxed. So what happens here is, whenever there is a requirement of boosting the morale of an employee, it is communication through which you can do that, and hence effective and efficient communication becomes very important. Similarly, there are lot many motivational talks which the leader has to give. As a manager, you have to give these motivational talks whenever you see the employees are having a bad day. So in that scenario, again, an effective and efficient communication would be important. So these are the importance of communication.